You know, nothing gives greater disappointment than seeing something that you genuinely enjoy get burnt down to the ground by a series of bad decisions. Unfortunately, this is the case for one of the shows I've been watching, otherwise known as One Punch Man. One Punch Man released in 2015. I was too young to watch it at the time. I was 8 when it released, and for quite a long time I was aware of its existence. I remember shortly being into secondary school, I was at a parental friend's house, and their son, who was about the same age as me, maybe just a little bit younger, was watching One Punch Man. That was my first introduction to it. From there, I had a little bit of an interest. I would watch some clips, and genuinely, from that point, it was set in my mind. I would watch One Punch Man at some point. It also helped that I got into anime not too much later, that I started watching more mature rated stuff, and it led me to One Punch Man in a way. I think it was about nearly a year after I started watching anime during the summer, before my high school years began, aka GCSE years and A-level years in the UK. And so I watched One Punch Man. One Punch Man Season 1 apparently was a spectacle in animation, and I wasn't really that well versed in animation to be able to understand whether something looked good or not. I was generally almost bored. I just thought, okay, it's entertaining, but it doesn't really have much going for it. I later realized that animation was what really brought this up and what made it quite exciting, but I didn't quite understand it back then. I watched Season 2 afterwards, and I quite enjoyed Season 2. But this is where we start to move towards the discussion that is Season 3, which I will bring you forward to a second. Once I finished Season 2, I was looking around for opinions on it online, on Twitter, and I realized that people didn't really like Season 2. Then, through my research, I then found out that One Punch Man was handled by 2 studios. Season 1 was handled by Madhouse, and generally the animation was top class, and I did rewatch parts of it, and I generally realized, okay, you know what, I didn't really appreciate it that much back then. Maybe I was too interested in the story, but still, I generally came in with the wrong expectations. Season 2 picked up on that, and we started to see Garou, and Garou was quite something. How would I say it? I don't know, just seeing the Monster Hunts, Garou basically wanted me to see like a confrontation, a one-on-one with Saitama and Garou, but I knew Garou was too weak, so I knew at some point that Garou was going to get stronger to become a worthy opponent for Saitama. But yes, there was complaints about the animation. I remember on my old Twitter account, I asked, why is One Punch Man Season 2 not so liked? And apparently, for starters, the animation dropped off in comparison to Season 1, and secondly, it didn't do the art justice. Like, there was like some moments which looked weird, but as far as I'm concerned, the animation looked decent. And so the way it began for Season 3, I watched Season 1 and 2 in 2021, so I had to wait 4 years for One Punch Man Season 3 to come out. I was too impatient, so I was generally starting to get into manga about a year later properly, so in my spare time, I read all of One Punch Man up to the latest chapter online. I still need to read the webcomic. Generally, I really, really want to read a webcomic. But yes, I read all of One Punch Man comic because apparently Garou versus Saitama was actually happening. I was like, you know what? I gotta be a part of this. I want to read it. I want to read it weekly and see how this goes. And when I started reading the One Punch Man manga, I was treated to a spectacle of art. Yusuke Murata, the one who picked up One's work, and I find that's a bit funny with the way how I use my words down there. But yes, Yusuke Murata is a top-class artist, and I draw, yeah. So so as someone who draws, I think I think someone who doesn't draw can appreciate it and see there's a lot of skill put in, but as someone who actually draws myself, I can appreciate just the amount of level of effort that's put into it. Yeah, this man is at a skill level so high, I couldn't even hope to reach it. At any point in my life, I'll keep dedicating myself. It's just still because I do art in my spare time, whenever I'm bored. I can appreciate it so well. The level of art and detail was immaculate. Like, I remember there's this one panel where Garu is just squatting on a rock. I generally had that as my wallpaper for probably a good year or so. It was top tier. But yes, you can also imagine how I was when I read Berserk later on. I read Berserk last year, and Berserk was, wow, top class art. But we're here to talk about One Punch Man. The Monster Association arc was amazing, full of fights. Like generally, just my memory is getting a bit hazy now, so I'm gonna generally just take the time to think and try and gather my thoughts about it. Seeing Garu constantly being beaten and basically him clawing his way back up to victory, seeing him gradually get stronger as he approaches his limiter, was great. Yeah, Garu is a man of sheer human will and determination, and through that, he ended up breaking his limiter. I'm thinking back to his fight with Garu versus Darkshine. That one really stuck in my head. But yeah, there was a whole lot of other fights. The Orochi fights, oh my god, I remember just how magnificent the art was. And that was quite something as well. I'm trying to think what else there was. I remember Saitama and Flashy Flash for a while. What else do I remember? I also remember parts of... Oh, I definitely remember Saitama versus Garu. Amazing. Especially Cosmic Garu as well. I think I stopped off around there. But overall, you can imagine my expectations for Season 3 was generally quite high. And once I finished collecting the manga, I'm pretty sure it pretty pictured them, but I actually, I have a manga collection, and I own up to volume 9 of One Punch Man right now. I'm going to collect as much of it as possible, but once I get around to reading the Monster Association arc in actual manga, like physical form, I think I'll appreciate the art much better. And also, it's been 3 years and a half since I've last read it, so you can imagine how long it's been. So yes, expectations for Season 3 was high. JC stuff, I was fine with mediocre animation. I'll be a little bit disappointed, but you know, JC Studio isn't Madhouse. And generally, I was okay. It was, you know, I would like it if it was handled with absolute care. Like, this is a legendary IP. I think every single bit of care should be put into the Monster Association arc, especially. And One Punch Man started strong, so we would generally prefer for it to continue strong, if that makes any sense. Regardless, Season 3 was not that, but when I saw the teaser back then, the one where Garu was generally fighting against those two monsters, I was full of hope. Like, generally, it looked quite well animated, and I was under the impression, and I'm sure many other people were under the impression, that One Punch Man Season 3 would be a massive step up in animation. Oh, how foolish and naive we were. I like to think back to those days when I was full of hope and not being miserable over how One Punch Man Season 3 is. And by the way, that's over exaggeration. I'm not really miserable. I've kind of accepted it. One Punch Man Season 3 is trash, and we can never probably hope to go back to the level of animation that Season 1 had, unless some kind of miracle happens. Yeah, I've kind of accepted it at this point. Like, shows get ruined. Yeah, and it's a sad sight, but what can you do about it? Anyways, my doubts for this began to grow when two rather, I think these two are regarded as controversial figures who I watch, started to talk about it. TV Reviews, my main source of anime news, and just to get an idea of what's going on, I generally check out his Twitter quite a bit. And Nicholas Light TV actually, yeah, I know, I don't care how controversial he is. I'll tell you my reasoning why. Nicholas Light TV speaks his mind. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I like a person who can speak their mind, and I can agree or disagree with them. So these two YouTubers who I watch generally expressed worry about One Punch Man Season 3. Because once we started getting to the PVs was just lip flapping. Still images, maybe a little bit of animation here and there. And also, it was getting more concerning that we were getting closer to the release date. And there wasn't a proper trailer. No real showcases. And then towards the end we got PVs. But this was worrying. And I started to get worried too. Not too worried, because I kind of mentally prepared myself that, Season 3 could be trash. But I didn't want it to be trash. And that's why I say with a heavy heart, it's a massive disappointment, really. So yes, Season 3 did release. I decided to play it safe, because I've already read the manga. I decided to see what Nicholas Light TV and TV Reviews had to say on it. It was lip flapping. So, in other words, our worst fears was starting to come true. And I later learned that Bandai Namco was generally handling all this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they handled Blue Lock Season 2. And Blue Lock Season 2 was really lackluster in animation. And I'm pretty sure only the last episode had actual animation that was decent. So, not decent, I think the last episode's animation, I remember I watched it, the last episode, even though I haven't finished, even though I've stopped Blue Lock for now, I'm hoping to get back on it, but I remember the last episode of Blue Lock was really regarded well, but the 11 episodes before it, no way. Generally, I remember it being memed upon. I used to watch the memes, basically, of how trash the animation is. It was a horror story. I later came to learn that Bandai Namco, same people who did Blue Lock Season 2, was handling this. My hopes sunk even lower, into the pits of despair. Alas, there was a sliver of hope. People were saying that it could be that they're saving the animation for later. Could this be like Blue Lock Season 2? Where they were saving animation for the later episodes when the action really took off, that they had to cut corners? Well, was the studio really, when I say working hard, I'll discuss about this later. We'll go on about this later. But was the studio really going to do One Punch Man Season 3 justice? We were going to wait until the actual scenes. I decided to play it safe and just stick to Nicholas Light TV's reactions, but through his reactions later on, I increasingly grew more disappointed. I'm not gonna let it overwhelm me and just go on a huge rant about it. Yeah, One Punch Man Season 3 sucks. So what? Yeah, I'm not gonna discourage people who are hating on it because they're passionate about it. I'm passionate about it too. Yeah, and there's a whole war going on, which I don't really want to become involved in. But regardless, I think it's nice to give my own takes on this. Episode 2 came out. The Garou slide scene came out, and there was a little bit of fighting. But Garou sliding, that was hilarious. That was generally hilarious. Just seeing him, what's called again, just going down the hill. And it was memed upon too. I watched all the memes for it, and I'm a bit of a doom scroller, I have to admit. So I was scrolling for reels, and just seeing that pop up was quite something. But yes, people kept saying, wait for the fight scene! This is going to be the one that was shown in the trailer all of those years back in 2024. And so we waited another week. Alas, the episode that people said where the budget will start being used on arrived. It was terrible! Oh my god. I remember, this is where I started reading. I started reading from the end of Season 2. yeah? And just to see that they did a worse job of the PV, yeah? Oh my god, my blood was boiling. My blood was generally boiling. Yeah, just seeing what they did. How could you make something that was already good worse? The trailer looked better. Yeah, you didn't have to change anything, but yet you did. Some of the still frames was absolutely horrible, and it wasn't. I'm pretty sure the fight lasted for a minute. What is this? Oh, we're not going to talk about the still frames. Oh, the filters. We're going to talk about the filters next. So it was around that point I lost all hope. I just stuck to watching Nicholas Light TV's reactions to it. It was funny because he was getting angry. He was under a lot of fire for it, and I think this is a good moment to actually give my general standpoint of this whole thing. Generally, you know what I stand on this thing? I generally quite agree with Nicholas Light TV's point on the committee handling this. He later goes on to attack all the animators, and I don't necessarily agree with that. But I do agree with the committee handling this. I think the animators should have been given more time, general good conditions to actually handle this and give us justice. I don't necessarily agree with the director's handling of this. Yeah, I don't know what the plan is here. Filters, yeah, making existing stuff worse, and later on we're going to talk about non-canon stuff. I don't know what this director's game is here. Yeah, I understand he is. It hurts him, yeah, to see all this criticism. But I think this director needs to understand and take this as a sign that you messed up with this season. Yeah, this is a massive IP, and I don't know if you were in charge. I don't think he was in charge of how long it would take for it to release, but you made some bad creative choices, and as a result, you're going to get backlash over this. Yeah? So maybe take this as a sign, in a sense, become a better director, in a sense. Yeah? Improve upon your craft. Improve upon how you make things. Yeah? Do not let this crush you, in a sense. But take this as a lesson. You messed up. Now we have a ruined season. But you could redeem yourself, in a sense. I'm rambling on a bit too much now, but still. I'm generally trying to think what else I could speak about. Yes, the filters. So I remember when they got to season 3, episode 4, filter stars become quite annoying. I was fine with it, but then I realized that, they're overdoing it too much. Where's the backgrounds? Like, when I saw that one scene of Garu in the dark, originally, that was class. I had hopes. But then they made a bloody filter, yeah? Like, if I had to quote Nicholas Light again, sorry. Smurf filter! What are you doing? What are you generally doing? Whew. And then maybe they have action for a few minutes. Yeah? Like, no, not for a few minutes. I mean, for a few seconds. That's less than a minute. And the still frames, I remember this was one thing that was generally, 9 frames over about 2 minutes. What is going on? I don't understand what's going on here. And then it just continued. Season 3, episode 6 had to be probably the lowest rated one. The amount of filters that they put was phenomenal. And I'm pretty sure season 3, episode 10 was worse than that, but we will get to that in a moment. Season 3, episode 7, we had stuff with multiple fingers, like body parts weren't drawn correctly. And I think it's getting pretty obvious. The animators weren't given enough time to work on this. And it's like, as a company, do you want money? Do you generally want money? Then give the fans what they want, and the fans will give you money. Why are you shooting yourself in the foot by making such horrible decisions? I don't understand you, generally. What is this? Like, they ruined some of the coolest panels down there. So I don't even know what to say. Season 3, episode 7, yes, I've covered that. Season 3, episode 8. We finally got a decent episode. Yeah, I could live, with the entire season looking like Season 3, episode 8. Yeah, but alas, it was one episode. And then the next episode that followed after that, Season 3, episode 9, I remember seeing it. I don't know, I'm not the best judge of animation. I will just generally say this. I have tried to animate, so I can kind of understand the words put into it. I will never animate. Yeah? I hate animation. No, not hate animation. I hate animating with a passion. Yeah? I'm too goddamn not lazy. I don't have the passion for it. Yeah? Like, I'd probably spend maybe 2 to 3 hours and I just like, nah, don't like this. I generally don't like this. So, as someone who draws, animates every so often, I can kind of appreciate where talent is put into this. So, hence, that's why, as someone who can edit as well, I'm generally quite disappointed. This is studio level. One person, if given the night time, could do something better than this. You were given 6 months. Why give your animators such a short period of time for one of the most beloved IPs? I don't understand. Do you just want money? Like, do you want us to give slop, make something so bad that people will watch it just because it's so bad? What are you doing? But I think I've said what are you doing too many times. I think I'm going to talk about the rest of the episodes. Yeah, Season 3, Episode 9 apparently followed off, and apparently it was meant to be the best animated episode. And I'm remembering about Season 3, Episode 5. Season 3, Episode 5 and Season 3, Episode 9 were supposedly meant to be the best animated episodes. We had one good segment, I think it was from quite a talented animator, but even he said it turned out differently to what he actually made. So I'm generally quite skeptical. It's like, what is going on up there? Who is managing this? Who is deliberately making it worse and shooting it in the foot? And Season 3, Episode 9 apparently, from what I heard, had some non-canon stuff. Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you what, because my memory of this is very vague. I read this 3.5 years ago. Yeah, so I can't really take my word for it. But a whole lot of non-canon stuff, and then there was more non-canon stuff in Season 3, Episode 10. The filters was absolutely... how on earth can you give Zombie Man the 4 kids One Piece treatment for Sanji? Yeah? Zombie Man, a man who generally smokes, was given a lollipop. What? I don't even know what to say. Yeah? And then a whole lot of other non-canon stuff. I'm pretty sure they skipped a whole load of fights as well. So... What's the game plan here? Yeah? Like, is your idea of how things meant to go, like, the superior version? Or what? You're already doing a bad job, so you want to divert off it? At this rate, we may as well just say, One Punch Man Season 3 doesn't exist. One Punch Man got 2 seasons. It never got a 3rd. And we can just leave it all at that. Just like how we all denied that the Promised Neverland Season 2 never happened. Regardless, for us, all of this, I must admit that all of this has been pretty entertaining. I've been taking the time to watch Nicholas Light's reactions to this, and I quite like it. I really like it. He gets mad. He's rightfully mad. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with how he spews out stuff. He gets into drama. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the internet, to be honest, because people can be genuine savages. Yeah, no sense of literally you can. How would I say it? People can't really control what they hate. I guess like when they hate something, they become nasty people in a sense over what they hate. Yeah, not really keeping yourself composed no matter what you hate. You may dislike something, but then you just step out of line. I dislike that. And seeing Nicholas Light get attacked and seeing him become very hateful is a bit... and I'm not saying... I'm not saying, oh, this guy's hating, he's bad, and such. No. I think it's okay to dislike hey, but like when you let it consume you and basically make a big part of your character, I don't really like that. I don't know. It's a matter of keeping yourself composed, I guess, no matter how horrible things get. But yes, that was generally entertaining, even though some of the drama that came out of it was quite something. One Punch Man animation defenders, I disagree with them. Like, yeah, the animating conditions are tough. I recognize, I understand that, but yes, they worked on this. I'm not blaming them, but I think it could have been handled much better by those up on the top, and we could have had a much better product. People will disagree with me on certain points. You know, go for it. Yeah, as long as we keep it civil. Yeah, disagree with me as much as you like. Yeah, we can chat about it. I may not necessarily agree with you, but you know, it's just how it is. But yes, tuning in each Sunday to watch his reactions is quite something. TV reviews, getting really frustrated over it. I haven't seen his individual videos because I'm down at uni a lot, so the only YouTube videos I generally watch a week properly is probably his weekly reactions to the episodes. But yeah, may One Punch Man Season 3 forever remind us what happens when anime isn't treated right. Let us not have another Berserk 2016. Let us not have another Promised Neverland Season 2. Well, Promised Neverland Season 2 just to cover the whole concept. Let us not have another Beginning After the End. And let us not have another One Punch Man Season 3. Thank you for being with me. Give your thoughts down below. You can attack me, whatever. As long as this thing doesn't get too out of hand, do whatever, okay? I'll be seeing you in the next video.